Hi, I'm Reb Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 43 years. I'm going through the lessons again this year, asking Jesus for clarity, and then I write from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. We're looking at lesson 338. I am affected only by my thoughts. It needs but this to let salvation come to all the world. For in this single thought is everyone released at last from fear. Now has he learned that no one frightens him and nothing can endanger him. He has no enemies and he is safe from all external things. His thoughts can frighten him, but since these thoughts belong to him alone, he has the power to change them and exchange each fear thought for a happy thought of love. He crucified himself, yet God has planned that his beloved Son will be redeemed. Your plan is sure, my Father, only yours. All other plans will fail, and I will have thoughts that frighten me until I learn that you've given me the only thought that leads me to salvation. Mine alone will fail and lead me nowhere. But the thought you gave me promises to lead me home because it holds your promise to your Son. This lesson encapsulates all that I have been practicing in one simple statement. I'm affected only by my thoughts. This is why I watch my thoughts. It's why when I think someone or something is endangering me, I turn it around. Why am I endangering myself? What is a thought that is frightening me? As I have forgiven many thoughts, I've come closer to salvation. In doing so, I've come closer to the peace of God, the peace that cannot be disturbed. It cannot be disturbed because the power to preserve it is in my own hands. Just as yesterday, when I was scaring myself with thoughts, I changed my mind and the fear was gone. I saw that I was not my thoughts, and this was more obvious than usual. I've been perfectly happy one moment, and the next, upsetting thoughts were crossing my mind. They seemed like my thoughts because I'd had them before, but I didn't think to myself, I will just think about scary things. No, they just appeared as often I'm going to do in the illusion. They are mine only in that they are mine to correct. A thought shows up, and I can forgive that thought if I'm not interested. I've noticed that if I do this often enough with a particular thought, it doesn't come around as often. I assume that after a while it quits showing up at all. On the other hand, if I simply accept a thought as true or some value, it feels very real and sometimes very powerful. That's when it becomes mine, when I decide that it belongs to me. For instance, I used to be afraid for my children, afraid something bad would happen to them. When I heard a siren, I would feel panic until I located each one and knew they were safe. I had given that thought the power to disturb my peace. Eventually, I took that power back, and now I no longer do that. I don't even think about them when I hear a siren. If I think of anything at all in relation to the siren, it's to utter a short prayer for the one in trouble. Not that I never worry about them, but that particular thought has been banished. Now when my son was on his way back home, I felt a prickle of fear for him, but I didn't encourage that thought. There was a time when I would have worried at the thought, imagining wrecks and that sort of thing. The thought couldn't dissolve into the next experience because my attention was holding it there. It's taken quite a while, but I've learned to make a different choice. And now I have a different experience. One day, the idea of worrying about my kids will no longer occur to me. That's the way it works. The power is in my hands, and the process of using it is simple. When I first started exercising the power of choice, it seemed impossibly hard, but vigilance and consistency proved that idea wrong. We've been discussing the forgiveness process that brings us back to peace, but I will share again now. I don't think we can review this too often. First, forgiveness is letting go. Second, I realize that I'm not forgiving people, things, or situations. I'm only forgiving thoughts. Third, I'm not my thoughts. They may seem so familiar that I identify with them, but they are not me. I am as I was created and never change. Thoughts change, so they cannot have anything to do with me. who never changes. Fourth, I don't try to do anything with the thoughts or the feelings they evoke. I don't try to get rid of them or change them to something I prefer. This only ensures that they stay because of the attention I give them. Fifth, since I'm not the thoughts and feelings, I realize that I am the one which is aware of the thoughts and feelings. So I sit still and quietly do nothing as I watch them dissolve into the next experience. If I have any problem using this process, I ask Jesus for help. I'm always answered. I'm learning that it is only my thoughts that hurt me. Nothing outside me can affect me. God's plan of forgiveness to change those thoughts is salvation, and it's the only plan that works. So this is what I do, and I do it consistently. It's working for me, and it will work for you too. So I keep watching, forgiving, and letting the thoughts pass. Nothing dramatic, just steady willingness, moment by moment. And over time, the mind becomes lighter. The old patterns lose their pull. Peace becomes normal. This is how the change happens. When I remember that only my thoughts can affect me, I return to the quiet certainty of God's peace. Each forgiven thought lifts a little more fear, revealing what has always been true. Nothing outside me has any power. The choice for peace is already in my hands. Thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Be back soon with another reading. See you then.